always say. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be a little rushed. I'm just making sure we're all the way live.
Okay.
All right, we're good. It's another edition of Full Court Press with Coach Jay. I actually have one of my good friends' wife on. She's probably going to argue that she's the better athlete in their household, which I'll have him on another show and we'll let them argue that out later. This is Brionna Dickerson Zimmerman. I'll let her introduce herself to you in here shortly. But the first question I'm going to ask you is that I ask everybody. So there's 2 questions I ask you're not exempt from. You have to answer them.
Okay.
So the first one is, when was that first whooping that you took as a player or as a coach and made you realize, like, hey, I got to really work at this game to be good?
Oh, Lord. I will say, as a player, so I played at the University of South Carolina, and I played, well, my senior year was Coach Staley's first year, but prior to that, we had Coach Susan Walvius, and I would say that moment of, Lord, maybe I need to put a little bit more work in was when we played UConn, at UConn.
Ooh.
And when I tell you, I think we lost by about 60. And it was one of those situations where, I mean, you went down by 30, like immediately. And you just felt like no matter how much you prepared and worked out and lifted, that the game was just going like this. And you just trying to keep up watching it. And I think for me, that really just put things into perspective of, there's another level out here and there's a lot more work to be done. And there's, a lot more time that I need to put in.
Right. So tell us about yourself. Tell us your coaching journey, how you got into coaching and all that kind of stuff.
So I will tell you that I come from a basketball family. My dad, Coach Jerome Dickerson, has pretty much been involved with basketball his entire life. And he actually started coaching at Benedict. He played at Allen, but coached at Benedict. And from a very young age, I was around him as a coach. And he pretty much inspired me to want to play basketball, but to also want to coach basketball. I think that for him, he's definitely a trainer and he teaches the skill side of it, but he also teaches the life side of it. And I think for me, that's always stood out the most, is just wanting to be able to impact people and really just show them a different side of themselves. And I think that basketball kind of does that for you with all that you have to overcome playing the game.
Right. So who are your biggest, tell us about your coaching journey and how you landed at Heathwood Hall, and then tell me who your biggest coaching influences and mentors are.
So a while back, I coached at Heathwood back when Asia Wilson was young. She might have been in middle school when I coached back then. And then left and went and coached at Richland Northeast with Precious Caldwell, who now I believe is in the Florence area doing that in administration. So I don't think she's actually in coaching anymore. But she gave me just so much insight and just another side of the perspective of coaching, that giving me the opportunity to coach both private and public school. So that kind of started my journey. And then I kind of backed away from basketball for a while. Just wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go with it. Obviously, everyone aspires to be a college coach, and I just wasn't quite sure that's what I wanted to do. And then I'll say about 3 years ago, I actually came back to Heathwood in a development position, helping with fundraising and events and things like that, which is what my degree is in, and what I focused on when I studied international business at USC. So I said, well, this is a great opportunity to come back home to Heathwood where I played. And this past year, they decided to make some changes and reached out and said, Bree, we think you'll be a great fit for this. This is your home. This is what you know. This is where you've been. You kind of know that process and what it takes to kind of be successful coming from the private school realm. And for me, that was, the sign from God, like, you know what? It's time. It's time to go back home. It's time to get back to your roots. It's time to really just jump back in and do this.
Gotcha.
When it comes to my influences, I would say that there's a man, his name is Louis O'Gorman, and he's from upstate South Carolina, but he was actually my first coach when I got to Heathwood. I came into Heathwood in the 6th grade, and I played JV in 6th grade, so I was serious about basketball, but not sure, really if that's what I really wanted to focus on. But when I got to 7th grade, I just remember we had camp, and he was like, "All right, well, now we need to separate the varsity players from the JV players because we need to start working on some things for varsity." He was like, "If you're thinking about trying out for varsity, then come on over." And I came over. And he said, "Are you sure?" At the time, I was 13. He said, "You sure? This is big girl basketball. Are you sure? You sure this is what you want to do?" And I said, "I can do it. I can do it. I can hold my own." And he gave me the chance. And at the time, like, we had to petition that I could play because I was so young. But he was like, "Her talent is there." He said, "The maturity will come. Her talent is there." And it came. And him giving me that opportunity, knowing I was so young, but knowing that I wanted it so bad, was such a major influence on me. And I'll be, remiss to say that my most, I guess, largest influence is Coach Daly. She, growing up playing AAU, we used to go to the Charlotte Sting games, and she was my favorite player, just from the standpoint of, being undersized, but just having the knowledge and the skill to still be successful. She was always one of my favorite players. And then when she started coaching, I never in a million years thought we would cross paths. And then my senior year, when I had kind of gotten down on myself, as you do when you get in college, because you realize there's, a lot more to overcome than you probably came against in high school. When she became my coach, I just felt like it was destiny. I mean, I had her bobblehead from when she was at the Charlotte Sting. And so I just couldn't even imagine being able to play under her and learn from her. And she helped me turn my game around within just a matter of a year. And her, along with Coach Nikki McCrae, that duo just worked wonders for me and my confidence in my game. And just, I never thought I could have learned so much in one year.
Right. That's good. So I'm gonna go to my 4th question, and then I'm gonna revamp back to the 3rd question.
Okay.
So since you're taking over a new program at Heathwood Hall, what is going to be your initial focus when you actually, or what has been your initial focus, and then what's going to be your initial focus once you're able to actually be hands-on?
Well, I will say that I've really just been focused on, in the last couple of weeks, just getting to know the girls. And obviously, working at the school, I've come in contact with a lot of them. But for me, it's so important to build that trust. And obviously, that's been difficult when pretty much all of our interactions have been virtual since I took the position. Right after I said yes to the position, I think is when everything started to shut down. So I haven't gotten as much of a hands-on opportunity with them, but it's really just been focusing on letting them get to know me, and not just the myth of me that they heard from when I played at Heathwood. Because I think that's kind of what they just rely on is, "Oh, she was really good and she scored all these points and she's this and this and this and this." Well, I want you to get to know me now. I want you to get to know my coaching style. I want you to get to know the type of person that I am, and the person that you're definitely, going to be able to gel with throughout the season. So that's really just been my focus, is just building a level of trust in relationship with them, so that once we are able to get back face to face and really get in the gym, it's, full steam ahead.
So I'm gonna go to Facebook and take a question over there.
Okay.
So I posted, "Ask any questions, please ask, not just basketball."
Oh, goodness.
I don't know who the first question came from.
Oh, Lord.
Ask her who's better, me or her.
Tell him I said I am. So we can go outside when he gets home. We can go outside and finish this.
You hear that, Tom? She said, "Yeah, I can go outside, play that one-on-one, and get it over with, and settle it." I want the results too. I want the true results.
Right. Listen, we might have to record it because
record it. I need the true results after it's over with. Okay, so now I'll go back to my question. He said he out. So now I'll go back to my 3rd question. What do you ultimately think is going to take to build culture there? Obviously, Asia won a state championship her senior year, and obviously, you scored a lot of points there. You're the leading scorer in school history and all that. So what do you think is going to take to build a championship culture and just build a different culture around their period as it pertains to athletics?
Well, I think that it really comes down to understanding that you don't get better just in the season, that the off season is so important. And you really have to be able to put the work in the off season and want to put the work in, whether I'm in front of you or not. You need to be doing something to improve your game. And I think that the last couple of years that the mindset has really been shifting, especially since Asia, because you're really starting to notice kids start to play AAU. A lot of the private school kids start to play AAU and really just understand that it doesn't stop just in the season, that you really have to work on your game. And that's what's going to get you ready. Because, even Coach Staley would tell us all the time, she's like, there's nothing I can do for you during the season. It all happens in the off season. You have to prepare yourself. You have to work on the things that, you have to work on your weaknesses and improve your strengths, because once you get to the season, it's go time. Like, I don't have time to wait and, try to figure out and help you figure out how to do certain things. That's what you use the off season for. And what I can say is it has been so encouraging for me as a coach coming in every single one of the girls who played last year have all hit me up on an individual basis and said, Coach, I'm ready to work. I know what I need to work on. I am ready to work. Just tell me what to do. And I think as a coach, like, you can only dream of having a team that just wants to learn, and that is what makes me so excited, is because I have girls who are open-minded, who are going to be coachable, and you'll beat any team with a team like that.
I'm gonna ask a question sometimes I improvise questions too. So I know that your sister coached at Ben Lippen. So how much will you lean on her in that private school sector? Although you played in it, but now it's a little different as a coach. So how much will you lean on her about the skis and stuff?
My sister and I are really close, and we talk all the time. And I think her her biggest piece of advice for me, along with some other coach friends that I have, has really just been, Bree, you've played at a certain level, but you can't expect them to understand things that you understand, especially not off the top. She said that things that may come easy to you, or concepts that you may be spitting out terms that they just have no idea what you're talking about. So you just have to be able to take a step back, step outside of yourself, step out of the knowledge that you already have, and understand that they may not understand everything that you're trying to give, but be able to break it down in a way that they can still get it. And, I take that with me in everything that I do, is just understanding that not everyone's going to learn the way that I learn or know the things that I know, but I have to be able to, in order to be a good coach, to relay it to them in a way that they'll to be able to take it in.
Good. I wish my daughter can hear this. So you're saying the regular season is for implementing what you worked hard on and learned in the off season? Yes, Terrence, that's what she's saying. She's saying, like, during the off season is where your work really gets done, versus in the season. In the season, you're working on team concepts and implementing game plans to win games, and you're still doing individual development, but most of that is done in the off season. What is your coach's philosophy, offensively and defensively? I know some of that's going to be Dawn Staley-ish, which is perfectly okay, but
what? I will say that my philosophy will always be that we will never meet a team that's going to outwork us. Right. I think that is so important. And I think that no matter what type of team that you face, if you're willing to just put forth that extra effort and work harder than they can, you can win any game. And I think that is something that my team is starting to understand about me, and even them, they are working out on their own, and, getting shots up at home, and, really pushing their parents to help them get those workouts in at home, because they understand that we're going to work. I tell them all the time when I talk to them, it's going to be fun, but you're going to probably work harder than you've ever worked before. And right. That is what's going to take you to that next step in your game.
That's good. So what kind of offense are you going to run?
Oh, see, that's tough. That, I think that's up for, I think that is to be determined. I think that our team has so many different skills. And I think that our team, you know, to take it old school, I think that we have some amazing shooters on our team. So I think that, you know, the perimeter will be a huge asset for us. But I also want to develop them, and that's something I've really pushed with them over the last couple of weeks, develop them to get better in areas that they don't feel as comfortable. You know, I don't want to have just one point guard. I want for all my guards to be comfortable bringing it up, because there may even be a time that I ask my post player to bring it up. At the end of the day, you're the tallest person on the team. You have better sight line than anybody. So, you know, I don't want them to feel limited in what it is that they do, or feel put in a box because I can shoot or I can rebound. I want everyone to be able to do anything and be interchangeable, because I think that will make us the most successful.
So now I'm gonna go into, well, I'm gonna skip around a little bit because you're touching things that I want to touch later. Go there. Very good. So how important is individual workouts and individual skill development to you?
It's extremely important. I think that you know, in the conversations that I've had with them, I tell them a lot about my story and about how, you know, when I came into South Carolina, I felt like I was a pretty good player. I was coming off of an injury, so I obviously had to kind of work around that. But I really felt like I was a hard worker, that I was a skilled player, that I could really be an asset. But what I had to learn was how to make my individual skills work within the system. And that's what I didn't understand. And so when I didn't get the playing time that I wanted, when I didn't see the points that I thought I should have been scoring, I had to take a step back and say, what can I do on my own that's going to show my skill better in practice, so that I can build that confidence and that trust with my coach, to where she knows that when she puts me in the game, that's not something that she has to worry about. So I think with them, I've really stressed the fact of, you know, let's have those conversations. Let's watch film from your season last year. Let's talk about those areas that you felt like, you know, I'm not as strong doing this, or I'm not as strong doing that. And let's work on those, because at the end of the day, I don't want you to walk on the court feeling like there's something that you can't do, that you have to second guess yourself in a crucial moment of the game.
Right. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm trying to charge the phone back up too.
Oh no, you're good.
So with that, okay, so question asked again from Facebook, and we'll both take a turn at this one because I think this is a great question. Can you do too much in-season conditioning, or is practicing games enough?
Oh, it depends on who you're coaching. You know, I've had coaches who would run the devil out of us after we had a bad game. And I've had coaches who felt like if you run or lift heavy during the season, you're going to throw off, you know, everyone's shots, or, you know, or tire people out, and they might not be able to recover. I think it really just depends on, you really have to just be mindful of your team. And if you set the standard with your team to where I think what you do is you use the summer to really test those limits and see, you know, make them practice hard, make them play hard, make them scrimmage hard. You know, if you got games over the summer, make them, you know, play as if it is a real game. And then
Right.
you make them run, you make them do, you know, whatever drills that you want them to do after the game. And then that way you can kind of see how they bounce back to where it's not hurting you when you get in the season. You really just have to pay attention to your team. And, you know, what I will say is that the strength and conditioning side of it is so important. And that's not something that was stressed when I was in school, which I think is a lot of why I dealt with the injuries that I dealt with, because back then, you know, girls weren't really pushed to lift or strengthen their joints and their tendons. And you know, we really just didn't focus on that. You just kind of went out there, you stretched a little bit, and then you played. And I think that now that we have that understanding of how important strength and conditioning can be for you, just being a well-rounded player and just from preventing injury, I think that is something that is definitely important to focus on during the summer, so that their bodies are ready and won't be torn down when they have such lengthy seasons, or whether you do decide to, you know, push a little bit more during the season.
So I'm going to say, Terrence, that practicing games are not enough. All my practices are conditioning based because I play up tempo. So everything about my practice is fast. You're going to be every drill is conditioning. We're going to run laps. We're going to run suicides. I put 6 minutes on the clock. Well, 8 minutes because you play 8-minute quarters on varsity. Depending on what level I'm on, I put the quarter up, and I make my team jog that long. So if you can jog 6 minutes and I turn it on 30-second intervals, you got to sprint. Then you'll go back to a trot. Then you got to sprint, and we'll do 4 quarters of that throughout the practice at some point. But I think conditioning is a constant, definitely in the summer, but it's definitely a constant all year long for me. And you went into the next question, the weight room. You talked about how important it is. So obviously you know that you feel it's important. Do you think girls should bulk in the summertime, and then as preseason hits, late preseason into regular season starting, you start doing more injury prevention stuff to prepare for the long season, or bulk and do injury prevention all the way through?
I would say do it all the way through. I think that is, even when we were in season, when I played at USC, we still lifted during the season. It definitely we weren't as focused on the bulk side of it during season, but you still wanted to be able to, because obviously everyone's not going to play the same minutes. So you want to make sure that your body is ready for when you do get that opportunity to play those minutes and that you can sustain those minutes.
Right.
And like you said, even when it comes to just the conditioning side of it, it's extremely important, whether you're doing a lot of conditioning drills or not during practice, making sure that you make them play every play as if it is a game time play, because that's the only way you get your body used to it. That's the only way you get your mind used to it. If you have lax practices, that's how they're going to play, because their body is not used to playing any other way. So then when you need more from them during the game, I mean, their body doesn't know what to do. Their body's tired, mind's tired. They're doing things, making mistakes because they haven't been practicing how they should be playing.
Right. So individual workouts are important to you, because that's skill development. So I'll go back to defensive wise. Well, we'll do that. We'll go, how much time are you going to allot to plan for practice? I know, I've been talking to college coaches. I'm going to transition some to high school coaches. I'm even going to do some football coaches, but just how long do you think you should adequately prepare for a practice plan? Just like a practice, not before a game, but you're in that first practice and it's time to grind.
I think that if you're not talking about before a game, I think that it depends. It depends on where we are in the season. It depends on if we're in preseason or if we're in the actual season. But I think that there's never enough work that you can do on defense. I think there's always going to be a situation that you're going to come up against that you need to prepare for. And so I think that giving them the opportunity to play a lot of scenarios allows for that opportunity to kind of see things that may happen in the game. And again, scenarios where you're kind of being lax and not really playing at game speed is not going to help you, because you have to be able to make that decision in the blink of an eye, how you're going to defend somebody based off of whatever's going on in the game. So a lot of game time situation type things, when it comes to defensively, I think are going to be super important for our team, so that they can understand how to make a split-second decision that, won't hurt us, but will definitely help us in the game.
So I'm gonna ask this question 2 ways for you, because you were a player too. If there were 2 important characteristics about you as a player, if I asked anybody that played with you or saw you play, what would be 2 characteristics they would say that make you as a player? And then take that same question, and what 2 characteristics would that make you as a coach?
Oh, wow. All right. Let's see. I think anybody who has ever played with me knows that I'm a glass half full type person. You'll see me with a smile on my face at all times. And that's just because I always try to, whether things are going well or not, try to enjoy it. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you're not going to play basketball the rest of your life. So I try to find enjoyment in everything that we do and just really try to be that positive spot for my teammates, you know, when we are going through something or when, you know, things seem to be going negatively, just trying to be that positive influence and that smile that can, you know, get us through practice. I'll also say that I work hard. I feel like as a player, my dad used to always say, just lead by example. I wasn't the most vocal person. I'm not that in your face, telling you off type of captain or player, but you will see me work hard and you will see me, you know, playing to the point where I feel like I'm about to fall over because I'm going so hard, just because, you know, I want everyone else to do the same thing. And as a coach, you know, I look forward to that as a coach. I look forward to seeing how my players handle different types of situations and kind of how their leadership shows. I feel like with them, everything is a clean slate because, you know, I am coming in new to this team, and I really look forward to seeing how those skills, those specific leadership skills, kind of separates itself for them, and really understanding the type of coach that I am. And, you know, and I look forward to that. And I hope to see that same type initiative. I hope to see, you know, that player who's always going to lift you up. I hope to see that player who's going to outwork everyone else and really just encourage everybody else to give 100%. So I look forward to see those types of traits stand out with my players.
So every team has an identity, and they usually take on the personality of a head coach. Basketball season starts. What is
Right.
Wood Hall going to look like being coached by Brionna Zimmerman?
I will say that we will be some workhorses. I will tell you that. I think that you're going to see a level of focus that you haven't seen before, a level of hard work that you haven't seen before, and just a level of determination to play every play like it's our last play. And I'm excited to see that actually come true.
Gotcha. So, what is your, now we're going to go into defense a little bit. What is going to be your defensive philosophy? And then what is going to be your favorite defense? Or what was your favorite defense as a player?
Oh, you know, when both when I played for Coach Staley and Coach Wavius, we were pressing teams. Pressing was not always my favorite because I felt like I was just exhausted all the time. But we always got buckets. I mean, we always, always, always got buckets off of the press. In terms of my team this year, I think in terms of whether we'll be a pressing type team will really just depend on the girls, but I'm definitely that pick them up at half court, you know, make it as difficult as possible. I don't like to sit back and wait on the offense. I like to initiate on defense. I want to make the other team think. I want to keep them uncomfortable. And that's really what I'm going to stress on defense is don't just sit back. You know, whoever is on the ball, go at them and understand that you'll have help behind you. So, and that's what I'm really going to stress is making sure that you give whoever on the ball the security of knowing I may get beat, but I have backup behind me, and that you're always aware, you know, of how you can help and help the helper.
What is your advice to aspiring young coaches trying to get into the game?
I would say definitely do a lot of studying, definitely watch a lot of the game and study the game. I think people watch a lot of basketball, but I think that a lot of times you have to look at different coaching styles, look at different play types of play calling, look at different types of defense calling, and really just see what matches your vibe as a coach and stay true to that. Don't be afraid to go against the grain and to step outside the norm because you just never know what will work for you. And if you stay consistent and you be true to who you are, it'll work itself out.
So here's my last question, and it's the question that you're not exempt from. This is the second one. Yeah, a little pressure, a little pressure. Ultimately, they go hand in hand. You have to choose one, and you have to explain why you chose that one.
Okay.
So, do the coaches make the players, or do the players make the coaches?
Oh, I will say the coaches make the players. I
Wow.
say that because I've come from a long line of great coaches and not so great coaches. And I think that my perspective on whether they were a great coach or not is how able they were to relate to me as a player, how they were able to inspire me or not inspire me, how they were able to motivate me or not motivate me. And I think that can make or break your program. You can have an amazing coach, you can have amazing players, but if your coach is not able to inspire your players and really connect with them at that level to pull the best out of them, your program won't go anywhere.
Yesterday it was said that coaches make the players because and this was a good aspect that actually it was very good. Coaches make the players because they have to take them from that young freshman, that young kid to that young adult life, and you're actually preparing them for life after basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That's pre-worded, but that's reworded. But yeah, that was good. So I really thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day today to spend with me. I know we've been trying to get through it for a little while, but I appreciate it. Then I'm gonna do Tamir, but then I'm gonna bring both of y'all back so we can have this little debate. But I still need my recorded. I still need my. I'm gonna have to say now. I'm gonna have to say. I played basketball with Tamir. So I think he's he's a little bucket now. He's an athlete. He might be a little old now, so you might get him now. I don't know about back.
At our prime, I think that would be a great game to watch. A great one-on-one game.
But prime don't matter now because that's not where we are.
Right, exactly.
So I need the recording. I need to see it all. I'm gonna take us off alive. Thank you again.